Most gardeners spend years looking for the perfect compost recipe, the right fertilizer mix, or the latest soil amendment that promises miracle growth. Yet the real secret to fertile, living soil is not a product invented in modern times. It is something ancient, something so old it existed before the first farm field was ever plowed. Hidden beneath our feet, there is a network of fungi that plants have depended on for over 400 million years. When I reintroduced this living system into my soil, it was like flipping a switch. Roots grew deeper, crops became more resilient, and the entire garden seemed to take on a new vitality. This is the story of mycorrhizal fungi, the ancient partners that can wake up even the most tired garden soil. What are mycorrhizal fungi, and why do they matter? The term mycorrhizae literally means fungus root, and that name is no exaggeration. These fungi don't just live in the soil, they physically join with plant roots, weaving into their tissues and spreading out into the surrounding earth like an extension of the plant itself. Each thread of fungus, called a hypha, acts like a superfine root hair, able to pull nutrients and water from places the plant alone could never reach. In exchange for this service, the plant feeds the fungus with sugars produced through photosynthesis. It is an ancient trade as old as plants on land themselves. Without fungi, plants might never have colonized land at all. More than 90% of all plant species still rely on these fungal partners, whether in forests, prairies, or farm fields. But here is what makes mycorrhizae more than just a root helper: they link plants together into vast underground networks. Through these fungal highways, nutrients and signals can flow between plants. A tall cornstalk may share carbon with a weaker neighbor. A tree under insect attack may send out chemical alerts that prime nearby plants to prepare defenses. When you look at a single plant, you see a stem and leaves. When you look at a fungal network, you see an entire underground community working in harmony. If these fungi are so important, why don't all gardens already team with them? The reality is that modern gardening practices often destroy the very networks plants depend on. Deep tilling cuts fungal threads into pieces. Heavy doses of phosphorus fertilizer make plants lazy, shutting down their partnership with fungi. Fungicides meant to stop disease wipe out beneficial species right alongside the harmful ones. Over time, these practices leave soils depleted of fungal life. Crops may still grow, but, they require constant external inputs, more water, and more fertilizer just to keep going. The soil may still function as a growing medium, but it loses its natural intelligence. In a sense, the soil falls silent. The good news is that it doesn't take expensive technology to bring these fungi back. It only requires a shift in how soil is managed. One direct method is to apply mycorrhizal inoculants. These products contain spores of beneficial fungi that can be dusted onto seeds, mixed into transplant holes, or watered in around established plants. Once introduced, the fungi colonize roots and begin spreading on their own. But inoculants are only a starting point. The real strength of mycorrhizae comes from creating conditions that allow them to thrive naturally. Living roots are essential because fungi need host plants to survive. That means planting cover crops like clover, rye, or buckwheat in the off-season so the fungal networks don't collapse between harvests. It means mulching with organic matter to keep the soil moist and fed. It means minimizing disturbance so that fragile fungal threads can grow year after year without being shredded apart. Compost, plays a supporting role, not by actually adding fungi directly, but by creating the moisture, texture, and food sources that, healthy soil biology really needs. When compost is combined with crop diversity and reduced chemical input, the soil gradually shifts back to being a living system instead of just a lifeless container. The transformation happens when soil wakes up. The difference between lifeless soil and fungal-rich soil is truly like night and day. In soil that's active with fungi, roots can push deeper and spread wider. Plants end up needing less water, since the fungal network is able to pull moisture from soil pores that roots alone just can't reach. Fertilizer use drops because fungi make phosphorus and micronutrients way more available. and crops start to resist disease and pests, with much greater resilience thanks to both stronger root systems and the protective influence of their fungal partners. Gardeners often describe the change as soil waking up. Beds that once dried out quickly, start to hold moisture longer. Plants that used to show uneven growth suddenly thrive with uniform vigor. Fruits and vegetables carry richer flavor and better mineral density. Over the seasons, the soil itself becomes darker, more crumbly, and full of organic matter. What was once an inert medium becomes a self-renewing ecosystem. Beyond the garden, mycorrhizae and the bigger picture come into play. The story of these fungi doesn't end with backyard beds. All around the world, mycorrhizal fungi are being used to restore damaged landscapes. Reforestation projects coat tree roots with fungal spores to boost survival rates. Prairie restorations reintroduce native fungi to rebuild biodiversity. Even in post-mining landscapes where the soil is stripped bare, fungi are helping to re-establish fertility. This matters because the same principles apply on every scale. A home garden enriched with fungi contributes not only to healthier harvests, but to stronger ecological balance. It supports pollinators and beneficial insects, builds organic matter that captures carbon and, resists erosion. Every gardener who fosters fungal networks participates in the global effort to restore living soil. The mistakes that keep soil asleep. There are, however, common pitfalls that can undo this progress. Frequent tillage may seem like a good way to loosen soil, but it cuts apart fungal threads that take months to recover. Overuse of chemical fertilizers, especially phosphorus-heavy blends, convinces plants they no longer need their fungal partners, shutting down the relationship. Fungicides may be necessary at times, but honestly, indiscriminate spraying can wipe out beneficial fungi and undo years of soil building. Avoiding these mistakes is just as important as fostering fungi. Building living soil is not just about adding more, it is about protecting the networks that already exist. Adding ancient fungi to the garden is not a quick trick. It's really a return to the original design of soil fertility. A partnership between plants and fungi that, honestly, predates every human farming practice. When these networks are restored, the results speak for themselves. Healthier plants, reduced inputs, stronger harvests, and soil that improves instead of depleting with time. For serious gardeners, there are really few steps more powerful than working with mycorrhizal fungi. They don't just grow plants, they build ecosystems. The act of reviving them in your soil is not only an investment in your next crop, but, a step toward restoring the land itself. If this guide helped you understand the role of fungi in waking up your soil, take the next step by subscribing to Soil and Crop Doctor. Share this with another grower who is ready to move beyond quick fixes and embrace the living systems that make soil thrive. Together, we can bring ancient soil wisdom back into modern gardens, one bed at a time.